Welcome to Business English with Richard Halligan. That's me. And in this presentation, we will get into meeting tips. Well, we all know what we have to do when it comes to a meeting, don't we? In a meeting, this is where everyone comes together to discuss different ideas, different opinions about a project, or maybe a meeting could be about how employees are working, how employees should be working, a company's targets, their goals, what they aim to do. Now, of course, when it does come to meetings, when you do have multiple people there, it does give people a chance to open up, as you could say, to talk about things that concern them, certain issues or certain problems, or even to express ideas that would like to bring forward to to their boss, their supervisors, or their department manager. Now, meetings are very important because they help shape ideas which will work on certain projects, and that which will be happening throughout the year or throughout the weeks, the months, and years, or whatever. And also, one most important thing when it does come to meetings is to make sure you have the right people there, because if you don't, then you're going to be spending an hour, 30 minutes, who knows how long your meeting will be, and you realize you've got people in there that did not need to be there. Of course, for them, it might be nice just to sit around for half an hour or for 1 hour not doing anything, but with them there, it's actually affecting your business because you take them out, it affects productivity, and if it affects that, it affects the flow of the work rate, and also bringing in the money as well. Now, on this next slide, we're going to be looking into phrasal verbs. Now, you'll notice through most of the slides that you're going to see in this video and every other video, you're going to find words highlighted in blue. These ones will be phrasal verbs, and any words or phrases highlighted in green, they will belong to the idioms group. Okay, now let's have a look at some phrasal verbs. The first one we have is come up. Come up. Come up. Now, the whole purpose with come up is to think of ideas for a project or for an event. So one example, you can say, did you come up with any ideas for our next product? Did you come up with any ideas for our next product? Okay. Now, up has multiple meanings when it comes to phrasal verb. Another one, as you see over here, is to talk about a topic. Now, for this example, it says, the issue came up during our last meeting. Now, this is when you're talking about one thing, but then somebody mentions something else. Of course, normally what is mentioned next has some connection to what it is you're talking about. It might be some extra information you did not know about, or something that somebody said relating it to the topic you are discussing. With those two examples, come up, and they have two different meanings. Our next one is bring up. Bring up. Bring up. With bring up, this is the same as come up to talk about another topic. Right, so with the expression it says, can you bring up that idea you had in tomorrow's meeting? Now, of course, you can use this in a present tense or a past tense as well. If you were past tense, you could say, oh, yesterday he brought up an interesting idea. So he brought up an interesting idea yesterday. And finally, for this one, we have work out. Work out. Work out. Now, before anyone jumps the gun, I don't mean work out when you go to the gym. So that's another workout. No, not this one. This one is to solve problems or to solve a problem. Now, the way we use it in an example, we say, we were able to work out a solution for the new car design. So once again, with workout is to solve a problem that you might have had with an idea or a project. Define a clear purpose for your meeting. Now, before you call a meeting, one of the things that you have to remember is, why are you having a meeting and what is the meeting for? You have to discuss what is the purpose and what is the main goal, what is the end game of the meeting. So you want to know what is the problem, what is the solution that you would like to come up with. What do you and your team need to go through or go over to help solve this problem? And plus, also, when you do come up with a proposal, it gives you an idea to tell everyone what you would like them to do, what needs to be done. So it gives opportunities for people to come up with their own ideas. And one other thing that you might also want to resolve when it comes to the meeting, if there is any complications or conflict within the team or within the business, like two members of staff having some problems, or maybe the company is going through its own problem as well, or a crisis, as it says on the screen. And plus, also, when it does come to meetings, this also gives a chance. Maybe if things are going well, maybe you can bring another project to everybody else that you would like to work on. Right. So with this phrasal verbs, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 new phrasal verbs on this slide. The first one is to go over. Go over. Now, for go over is to review or to explain something. Now, for example, I need to go over that business proposal before we present it. This one is very common in English language. If you have written something and you're not sure if it's okay or it's okay, but you just want a second opinion. So what you do is you go over what it is you've written or what it is you're planning to say. You can either read it or you can read it to a colleague or a family member, just to for them to see if everything's okay. But normally, if it's something to do with business, best keep it to someone who works in the same field as you, because they will understand better what it is you want to say. Draw up. Draw up. Draw up. Now, to draw up, it is where you create a document, a list, or a plan. You prepare it and you get it out. For example, we were able to draw up a new contract. Yeah, so you might hear this phrase in like movies and TV shows to say something like, "Oh, we drew up a new contract for this player," or "We drew up a contract for this new development project we want to do in the area." Next, now this one's very common: to deal with. To deal with. What this means is to take action to do something, especially to solve a problem. So, for example, I had to deal with a staff issue. Now, this is where you take it upon yourself to deal with a situation that is going on in your job, or maybe something that could be going on in your personal life as well. It's something that you are trying to deal with. Okay. Our next one is brought forward. Brought forward. Now, if we're brought forward, this is to announce plans or ideas officially so that people can discuss them. Now, for example, in a sentence, the various departments have brought forward their budgets for the year. Now, brought forward, this is when you want to push an idea or push a project that you want to get started. Now, of course, sometimes you might have to be careful with push back, push forward, and brought forward, because sometimes people do get mixed up with these ones, as if something like is to move something forward and to move something backwards. People do get mixed up with time when you say, let's push the meeting forward, or we brought the meeting forward. Of course, that means is that when you bring forward, it means that you are bringing it earlier. But if you push it back or you brought it back, that means you're going to. So that means you're moving it for a later time. Invite only the necessary people. Now, this one is very important. If you're going to have a meeting, make sure that you have the right people present. So, and when you are planning a meeting for any sort of topic or some sort of discussion or project, some things you need to take into consideration is, all right, does this meeting pose any problems to the network security of the company, as it says on the screen, or does this meeting have something to do with the future of the company? So when you start thinking about these things, you know who needs to be there. So your main boss needs to be a supervisor, or maybe someone from the IT department, somebody from HR. So you need to start picking who needs to be and what it is you want to say. So make sure you have people who are connected to that particular area that you are discussing. And once again, which I mentioned earlier, don't waste other people's time when it comes to you don't invite the wrong person and they just sit there for half an hour and 1 hour thinking, wow, that's 1 hour I'm not going to get back of my life. Okay. This next slide says, approve a final solution. Now, when it comes to your final solution, you need to make sure that you have a agenda for the meeting. So you need to have a list of criteria, things that you want to happen in this meeting, things that you want to get addressed. So you might want to include things like the action items, things that are done, the venue, where this meeting is going to take place, or maybe where the project is taking place. The start and end. This is very important because when it comes to business, time is everything, or most important, time is money. That's another phrase. Time is money. And also, once again, make sure you have the right people involved. To make sure that people are going to attend, you make sure you send some messages to the people that you want. Send memos, send emails, or if people have not even, or if you are walking past that person's desk, have a little note, write something there, say, don't forget the meeting. Put it on their computer screen, put it on their desk, make sure that they can see it. Now, one most important thing is, when it comes to timekeeping, if anyone arrives late, don't stop, just carry on. Or if the meeting is about to start and you realize maybe 1 or 2 people have not arrived, get started. You've already mentioned when this meeting was going to take place. That's it. They missed their cue. Just start the meeting. Okay. Now, of course, here's another thing which must be addressed when it comes to meeting. Depending on what type of personality you are, if you are a very strong character, a weak character, easy bully, if it's a meeting that you have arranged and you have planned, make sure you stand up against anybody who tries to challenge you. Now, I don't mean get into anything. If you say a meeting is going to be at this time, you say, guys, this meeting was supposed to be at this time, at this place. You should have been there. I'm not messing around. I'm not joking around. Things have to be done. Okay. And finally, one most important thing that does go well when it comes to meetings, make sure you have copies of the layout of your proposal or maybe the criteria of your meeting, and make sure that you have a copy for everyone who attends. Right, phrasal verbs for this one. Turn up, turns up, turns up. This one is to talk about arrival, or to arrive, that's what I should say. Now, for example, you can say, what time is he or she expected to turn up? That's what I should have said. Next, we have stand up. Stand up. Now, I don't mean stand up where you get off of your chair. No. What this meaning is to state or show publicly that you support someone or something. So going back to when I said that you need to stand up for yourself to tell people, look, listen, this is what needs to happen. This is what I wanted. This is how it's done. For Also, we have layout, laid out, laid out. Now, for this one is to spread something out or to arrange something so that so you can see them easily. Now, what I was trying to explain with this one is for layout is to make sure that everyone has an idea where your meeting, your project, where it's going. You have all the information you need on the table, so from start to finish. So one example, we have a display of the project was laid out on the table. Of course, one of the most important things that's come to meeting is a rule against using smartphones and tablets. Now, of course, we are living in the 21st century. I don't know anyone who walked down the street without a mobile phone in their pocket or in their hand, or using a Bluetooth device or using an iPad. I have not seen anyone who has not used one. So it is very hard to compete for people's attention when they've got a mobile phone in their hands, because phones were actually made to keep, to get our attention with phone calls, WhatsApp messages, and YouTube as well, Facebook and everything. I know it's hard the eyes of it to move away, but it's very important when it comes to meetings. So one of the things you need to do is to set some rules and some guidelines to tell people, right, this is what we're going to do in the meeting. This is how I want things done, and I want you to give 100%, and I want you to listen, because this is very important. Because during the meeting, you are going to be explaining things, and you're going to go over things, and one thing you should do is you should be the type of person that says something like, "You need to listen because I'm not going to repeat it." Okay. So one of the golden rules. Oh, sorry. But also one thing you can do is make sure you put out like paper pads out, and leave pencils or pens so that everyone can make notes. Of course, normally people might bring like a recorder or their own laptop to make notes, depending on what type of meeting it is. But of course, the golden rule is keep your phone on silent. Now, for two phrasal verbs that we had in this slide, we have set up, set up, set up. To organize or plan something such as an event or a system. So, for example, we have set up some rules that must be respected. And finally, for this slide, we have take down, take down, take down. Now, normally when people think of the phrase take down, is that if there's something that's on a shelf or something's on a table, you need to pick it up and put it on the ground. Yes, you are correct. That is one type of takedown. But this one is to write down information or a statement. So, for example, we can say, I took down the addresses and phone numbers of our clients. This next one, assign a moderator. Of course, you may have planned the meeting. You know what has to be done. You know what you want to be said. But are you the right person to give the meeting? You may be, you may be the brains of the operation, but are you the talker of the group? When it comes to everyone has their strengths and everyone has their weaknesses. Some people are the brains, some people are the bronze, some people are the talkers, some people are the good planners, the organizers. Everyone has a certain job role. Now, if you are the type of person who is confident, then by all means, carry on with what you're doing. But if you're the type of person who feels shy in front of a meeting or doesn't feel confident, or maybe you get lost very easily, or maybe like me, you have a speech impediment where you start to stutter all over the place going, it's not nice, and you try to be professional and stuttering doesn't help. So one thing you can do is you can choose a member of your team to maybe take over the meeting. Or maybe you are kind of contemplating if it's the right decision to do. Should I get someone? Well, don't hesitate. Ask someone who you know who's the strongest to take the lead, to have them, step up and have them discuss what you want. Also, when it comes to moderators, they should also have an idea what the meeting is about. So before the meeting, make sure the moderator practices they need to be said. So the planner and the moderator should be working together to make sure everything goes smoothly. Make sure they are prepared for what needs to be said. But of course, most of the time, a moderator, they may do all the talking, but sooner or later, maybe the planner will actually start to develop a bit of confidence to join the presentation. It is quite common for this to happen as well. One important thing is that most teams, they have a timekeeper to make sure that the meeting goes very smoothly. Sometimes a person will sit there and go or 2 minutes like that. And also, that's it for that one. Okay, phrasal verbs section, we have take over. Now, of course, normally what people think when it comes to take over is when you have one company take over another company and they join together to become a brand new company. Yes, that is true. Very good. If anyone actually remembered that one. But for this type of takeover, this is to begin or do something that someone else was doing. Now, of course, normally, if this does happen, the best thing to do is to actually approach someone and say, listen, I don't feel confident giving this presentation. I want you to take over for me. Yeah, that's fine. I can do it. All right. So, yeah. Another phrasal verb we have is take the lead, to accept responsibility for dealing with a situation. So I need you to take the lead in trying to salvage a deal at the peace talks. Yeah. Right, this next slide. Have fewer, better meetings. Now this one is very important. You don't want to overload your staff with meetings every hour, every minute, and every day of every week of every month. What the best thing to do is to, if you are going to have a meeting, make sure this meeting has all the information you want, or you want to express anything that you are concerned about. And once you have the meeting, that's it. You should not have to bother your staff again. So make sure you plan well in advance of when you want to have a meeting. Don't overload it too much. Or if you do not want to give a meeting, or you don't need to give a meeting, you can find alternative ways to give a meeting. Maybe just talk to someone one-on-one and they can pass the information on. Or we all got our phones, we got emails, send a WhatsApp message to your team and say to them, guys, this is what we need, this is what I want. And I need this done by a certain time. And they will respond saying, all right, got the message, we're clear, good. Even sending emails out as well. So it saves you time. So you don't have to keep putting up meetings and wasting people's time as well. Now, phrases for this slide, we have put off. Put off. Now, this one is very common in English-speaking countries. So what we use this one is to change the time or date of something so that it happens later than originally planned, especially because of a problem. Now, so what this means is that if something has happened and you can't do what you need to do, like join a meeting or meet up with family members or friends, so what you do is you would cancel it. So you have to put it off for another day. Due to the bad this morning, the meeting was put off. So that means the meeting was cancelled. Another one is to look forward to. Now, this is when you are excited about an upcoming. For example, we say, I'm looking forward to the expo next week. Now, of course, normally when it comes to this phrasal verb, looking forward to, this is when we are excited to maybe try something different or to see someone who we've never even seen before, like a new colleague, or maybe a family member or a friend is dating someone. And you're like, ooh, I'm looking forward to meeting this person. Great. Of course, we are human. That's very important. Separate eating time from meeting time. Now, yeah, like I said, we are human. We do get hungry. We do get thirsty. It's a normal reaction, of course, a normal function of the human body. But when you are going to have a meeting, plan your meeting wisely. Of course, other people have different ideas when you're meeting. I personally think that a meeting should be done a few hours before lunch, before a break, because at least that way everyone is still fresh, they're quite focused, and they're not thinking of food. Now, I've been in situations where I've been teaching classes, and it's around 12 o'clock or 12:30, and I'm teaching, and then suddenly my stomach goes, I'm hungry, and I want the lesson to speed up. I want it to hurry up. So you could arrange a schedule to sort out for breaks and for lunch. Of course, this will also help to ensure that people do not bring in snacks during a meeting. Water is fine, coffee's fine, and tea is fine, but nothing like soft drinks or bringing in snacks like crisps, chocolates, or things like that, or biscuits. It doesn't help because you're going to be distracted by people munching away in front of you. But also during the break, it gives everyone a chance to relax, try to think outside the box, and when people are talking, they feel open to knowing to discuss about other ideas for your project or for the meeting. And then afterwards, when you come back from lunch, people are more focused, they're energized. Of course, make sure that people eat something light. If you eat something heavy, that's going to make you feel tired, you're going to feel lazy, you're like, okay. You don't want that. Now, the phrasal verb for this slide, we have look into. Now, this is to try to discover, look into. Look into. Now, for look into is to try to discover the facts about something. Now, for an example, we would say, I wrote a letter of complaint and the airline has promised to look into the matter. So this is where you are trying to investigate or you're trying to search for something that you need. Now, review the decisions of the meeting. When it comes down to the last five tenths of the meeting, this is a good chance for everyone to recap of what was said and what was mentioned during the meeting. So anything that you need to go over, now's your perfect time. If there's any things that you've had any doubts, you want to raise questions, this is a perfect to say, sorry, I misunderstood something. Can we go back on what you said? Okay, and this gives a chance to clear up any problems, any disagreements, any arguments that you might have had during the meeting. And plus, it gives members a chance to come up with their own solutions to other problems as well. And plus, also, it's very important that during what was said in the meeting. All right, phrasal verbs for this section, we have clear up. Clear up. To clear up, this is to give a better understanding of what was said during a meeting or a presentation. So for an example, we were able to clear up the confusion in the HR department. Next, we have taken in. Taken in. Now, what this one means is to understand and remember something that you heard or read. Okay. Now, of course, going back to taking in for what I mentioned before, best thing to do is to write down the information that you were listening to. So this helps you to remember. So, for example, you can say, "I'm not sure how much of his explanation she took in." Okay. Now, after a meeting, the next part you would normally want to do is to send a follow-up note to every participant. So whoever was at the meeting, send a follow-up message, a follow-up email, or even just go up to the person and just find out how things are going, ask them if there's any problems or issues that have arrived since after the meeting. Has anything been actually corrected? And also gives a chance for you to help people to remember, because outside of a meeting, We all have our own personal issues going on, whether it be family, something at work, financial, who knows? Anything could be going on in people's personal lives or their professional life. So some people are going to forget. It's human nature. We do forget things. So this is a good opportunity for you to go up to that person and say, "Oh, listen, what's the situation on X? Oh, yes, I just remembered. I was working on that day and we did this. Come or maybe a different reaction by I was so busy, I forgot. You know what? Give me a few hours. I will, I will look into it and I'll check and I'll check up on it and I will get back to you later. Sure, no problem. And also, it's most important that if you want to make sure you do check up on people, is to send an email, send WhatsApp message, so you do keep track of what's going on. And if you do manage to speak to someone, keep it short and sweet. Okay, because some people they don't have much time. They need to get things moved. So your presentation very small and to the point. Right, now this one we have a phrasal verb and an idiom. So the first one we have is follow-up. And like I said before, a follow-up is to do something in addition to what you have already done in order to be certain of achieving your goal. Now, for example, in a sentence, we would say, were you able to follow up with that client? And the next one is the idiom, short and sweet. So this is to explain something quick and simple. And for a sentence, you can say, tell me your idea, but keep it short and sweet. Send out an evaluation sheet. Now, of course, most of the time, people are not big fans of meetings. People just want to be left to their work or left to do what needs to be done without stopping and giving up an hour or two to explain what's going on. So another aspect that you could do is to probably send out maybe a feedback sheet to your team members for them to fill out, to write in, to say how they're doing, what problems they're having, or what solutions they have come up with to help with their project. So you can send it to them by an email, or you can even give them handouts as well of your evaluation. But when you do start to receive them, make sure you check them out to make sure that everyone has actually given feedback and really take into consideration of what people are saying. Right, phrasal verbs for this unit, we have handout, hand out. Now, for a handout is to give an item to another person. So for an example, we would say, here is a handout of last week's reports. Next, we have check out, and this is to look or to examine at someone or something. I was able to check out that new phone we are selling next summer. So that's how we use checkout. And now, final thought. We all know that meetings are important, but it doesn't mean that of course every meeting is not always productive. So going over some of the tips that I have mentioned is make sure that you know what you need to do, who you need at that meeting, why are you having that meeting, and what is your goal for that meeting. But of course, one most important thing is before you do give the meeting, make sure that you have all the information you need, because you can start a meeting, say something, and then one of your colleagues will say, actually, we did that. We've done it. This has been done. Or it's like, wait a minute, are you sure that's the right information? Because we're doing something completely different. So to avoid any type of confusion, make sure that you brush up on any information that you might need to help you with your meeting and your presentation. And of course, an effective meeting is a process where everyone can cooperate, share ideas, and also feel relaxed to know that whatever they say will be taken into consideration, that they can speak freely without any fears of being shouted at, laughed at, ridiculed at, or and areas like that. And the phrasal verb for this slide is brush up. Brush up. Now, I don't mean get a paintbrush and start painting something. No, no. Now, this one is to study or refresh something that you have forgotten, or you might have, misinformation or be misinformed. So, for example, I need to brush up on my Spanish for our client from Spain. Well, that comes to the end of this video presentation with phrasal verbs and idioms as well. I hope you've all found this useful, and I hope to see you all again. Now, don't forget my motto: TNT. Practice today and practice tomorrow, because the more you practice, the better you'll get. Take care.